Bama loss seems just about as long ago for Texas A&M as the LSU win does for Mississippi State. MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, breaking down the Aggies win in Starkville. Texas A&M 28 and Mississippi State 14. A clear distinction between these two teams and where they're headed at this point. KJ Costello, owner of the SEC record. I don't know if you've heard this. In a single game, passing record against LSU in Death Valley. It was a long time ago. 623 yards passing against the defending national champion. That was just a few weeks ago. It seems like forever ago. KJ Costello and his offensive line looked awful in this game. It gets worse and worse each week. They moved on from that game in Death Valley and scoring 44 points and again 623 yards through the air to a pick six and a lot of frustration against Arkansas, losing 21-14 with just 2 touchdowns on the board. And then they go to Kentucky and get shut out. Throw 70 passes and get shut out. And now in this game, it looked just about as bad. KJ Costello threw for 99 yards. No touchdowns, 1 pick. He went 15 of 22. A ton of underneath stuff. As Texas A&M basically rushed 3 most of the game, dropped 8, and their athletes just made tackles. Mississippi State was just completing 3 and 4 yard passes, and Texas A&M just came up and made the hit and made the stop immediately. KJ Costello, since the LSU game, has thrown 1 touchdown and 8 interceptions. He would come to the sideline, and this was in the first and second quarters where it looked like he'd been through a 4 overtime game. He was just beat up and battered and just frustrated. It looked like physically he'd been through a 4-hour game and mentally and emotionally. The offensive line just did a horrible job for Mississippi State, did not protect him. It was stated many times during the game broadcast by the sideline reporter that the Mississippi State coaching staff, the offensive line coach, was in the face of the offensive line collectively, just saying, we need more out of you. Finish the blocks. Protect the quarterback. We need it. This Mississippi State offense is right now last in the SEC in turnover ratio, also second in FBS football in turnovers with 15. The first one, Miles Jones with an interception in which KJ Costello thought he had an open receiver on the post pattern to the end zone with no score in the game. But Miles Jones caught up, and it was a poorly thrown ball with a man in his face. So Costello did not have a clean pocket, and obviously it was a long developing play like a 45-yard pass to the end zone picked off by Miles Jones. Again, Texas A&M pressure all day. Even when 3 would rush, they would get to the quarterback on a regular basis. Buddy Johnson can play football. He's a hitter. He pursues. He runs sideline to sideline. 11 tackles a week ago against Florida. Racked up another 12 in this game. Plus, he had one of the big key defensive plays of the game, a sack, strip sack, with Michael Clemens picking up the forced fumble. As they combined on the sack, Buddy Johnson got there first, then Clemens knocked the ball out of Costello's hands, and then big Jaden Peavy with the fumble return down to the 8-yard line to set up the Texas A&M touchdown. Mississippi State only had 98 yards of total offense in the first half, where Texas A&M was firmly in control at that point. Mississippi State's offense went over 30 consecutive drives without scoring a touchdown. This is the best Texas A&M defense. I'm going to call on our Aggie viewers, listeners, fans out there. Best Texas A&M defense since when? It's been a long time. They held Mississippi State running backs to 13 carries for 25 yards. Actually, they held Mississippi State rushing to -2 yards, but that's quarterback sacks included. I don't like to include that in terms of the rush defense. 13 carries for 25 yards. Now, the Texas A&M offense took some time to get going. It was a no-score game for a long time. The Texas A&M offensive line finally, Jimbo, for as much as he loves the passing game, and to mess with the quarterbacks and the schemes and the whole deal, and it finally came to fruition in this game, but Texas A&M got going on offense just leaning on Mississippi State's defense. That veteran Aggie offensive front that totals 122 starts. Just got in front of Isaiah Spiller, gave him a crease, gave him room, sometimes gaping holes, sometimes just a crease. And Isaiah Spiller, I didn't realize how good this kid is. Really good. Makes people miss consistently. 18 carries, 114 yards. And the first touchdown of the game, 7-0. Texas A&M with a punt block that took it down to the 1-yard line. Set up Spiller again for another touchdown at 14-0. You had Chase Lane with a 51-yard touchdown. This was Jimbo playing with the formations, doing a nice job in regards to getting Chase Lane on the short crossing route in front of a Mississippi State secondary that should have had him blanketed, but he got some space. The crossing routes are great. They get speed players running in front of the defense, a couple yards in front of their man, then they're in the open field, and it's tough to catch up. So that was a 51-yard score. Anias Smith, he went underneath the formation behind the offensive lineman on his touchdown. And again, Jimbo playing with the formations. We know he loves to coach up the offense and the quarterbacks, and he was able to do that finally. But they got the offense going, just bread and butter running the football behind that massive offensive line and a very talented, well-recruited offensive line. Kellen Mond could play game manager in this one. He usually has had his best games in which he's been counted upon to run it, run all over the place, scramble around, find open receivers, and throw it 40 times and throw for 300 yards. Not in this game. Texas A&M was the much better team. They just needed Mond to take care of the football. That he did. 13 of 23 for 139 yards. Texas A&M, maybe not the class of the SEC, but maybe they've taken a step past what they've been in the last few years under Jimbo Fisher, in which they lost to everybody they were supposed to lose to after beating the teams they were supposed to beat. Of course, they took that step last week in defeating a top 5 Florida team 41-38 on the final play of the game. Texas A&M, not a give-me win next weekend, taking on an Arkansas team that is much rejuvenated under Sam Pittman. Check out the video that we just posted on Arkansas football. It's a fun one as they defeated Ole Miss. Right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Please like, comment, share the videos on social media. And, of course, you got to subscribe. You hit the bell for the notifications. Once you subscribe, you know when we're going live throughout the week with our call-in shows and live streams. See you soon.